I hereby convene the May 6, 2024 hearing of the Santa Barbara County Zoning Administrator. My name's Linda Liu, and I'll be the zoning administrator for today's hearing, and Mr. Jonathan Martin will be clerking. This hearing will be conducted under the provisions of the Ralph M. Brown Act, Open Meeting Law, as well as the provisions of California Planning Law and the Santa Barbara County Code. We have 4 items on today's agenda. The clerk will read each item into the record, and I will announce any ex parte communications. I will then get comments from the case planner, followed by the applicant or the applicant's agent, and then I will get comments from the public. Anyone who wishes to testify in person should fill out a speaker slip and hand it into the clerk. Those appearing remotely should use the raise hand feature when testifying, please state your name and affiliation when it's your turn to speak. All right, the first portion of our agenda is for the general public comment. This period gives the public a opportunity to comment on matters that are not on today's agenda. Mr. Martin, is there any request to speak on this?
If anybody in the chat would like to make a public comment not on today's agenda, please raise your hand. Or if you're calling in, press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute. Seeing none?
All right. Then I will go ahead and close out that portion of the agenda. Mr. Martin, I think we're ready to proceed.
Absolutely. Okay. First item is 23 CUP-00024 Dish Tier 3A Telecommunications Facility at Foothill Road. This is a hearing on the request of Megan Graham, agent for the applicant Dish Wireless LLC, to consider case number 23 CUP-00024 and 24 CDP-00003, and to determine the project is exempt pursuant to section 15303, new construction or conversion of small structures of the state guidelines for implementation of the California Environmental Quality Act, as outlined in the notice of exemption included as attachment C.
Thank you very much, Mr. Martin. I do not have any ex parte communications to announce. Ms. Cruz, are you online and ready to proceed?
Hi, yes, this is Tatiana. I'm here online. And good morning, Madam Zoning Administrator. I'll start us off with the project presentation. This project is a request for a minor conditional use permit and a coastal development permit for a new Dish Wireless telecommunication facility at 3220 Foothill Road in the Toro Canyon area. The project site has an avocado orchard, residence, and an existing AT&T telecommunication facility that has 7 15-foot tall monopoles. This project requests to permit construction of 1 new 26-foot tall monopole with mounted antennas and associated ground equipment, and will be located next to the existing AT&T telecommunication facility. The project was reviewed by the South Board of Architectural Review and asked to return for preliminary approval. The SBAR recommended paint colors for the facility, and the applicant incorporated the SBAR recommendations into the project design. And the project will maintain existing landscape screening and avocado orchard that is adjacent to the new monopole. The project was also reviewed by the Agricultural Preserve Advisory Committee because the property is under an agricultural preserve contract, and the committee commented that the project is consistent with the uniform rules. The project is consistent with the Article 2 Coastal Zoning Ordinance policies, the comprehensive plan, including the Coastal Land Use Plan and the Toro Canyon Community Plan. The project is exempt from environmental review under CEQA, pursuant to CEQA Guidelines Section 15303. And lastly, staff recommends that the zoning administrator make the required findings for approval included in attachment A to the staff report, determine the project is exempt from environmental review pursuant to CEQA, and grant approval of the project subject to the conditions included as attachments B and G to the staff report. And that concludes my part of the presentation, but I'm available to answer any questions. And the applicant team is also available online for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Cruz. I do see that the staff report was slightly revised since its initial docketing, and there was an additional attachment for conditions of approval. Have you verified and made sure that the applicant and the or the applicant's agent have received the revisions?
Yes, I did send those conditions to the applicant team and included a revised attachment to the staff report to include the coastal development permit.
All right, thank you very much, Ms.
Thank
Cruz.
you.
Mr. Martin, do we have any requests to speak on this?
If anybody would like to make a comment on this item, please raise your hand in the chat. Press *9 to raise your hand if you're calling in and *6 to unmute. Seeing nobody online, and we have received no requests to speak as well.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Martin. I see Ms. Graham and Ms. Martin is online for this item. Ms. Graham, since you are the applicant on file or the agent on file, do you want to start?
Yes, so thank you, Tatiana, for all your work on this project. My name is Megan Graham, and I'm here representing Dish Wireless on behalf of Crown Castle. Dish Wireless is excited to provide service to their customers in the Summerlin and Carpinteria area. We agree with everything that staff has presented, and we're here to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much, Ms. Graham. And I assume you've reviewed the conditions of approval on here
Yes.
with your client.
Yes,
All right, and they are in agreement with all those conditions?
yes.
All right. Ms. Martin, would you like to add anything to this project?
No, we just want to thank Tatiana for all her hard work and walking us through this project and getting us to this point. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Martin. All right, Mr. Martin, I don't have any additional requests to speak on this, as you noted, so I'll go ahead and close out the hearing on this item. I don't have any additional questions for staff or for the applicant team, so I'll go ahead and make the required findings for this project as specified in Attachment A of the staff report, including the CEQA findings. And I determined that this project is exempt from CEQA pursuant to CEQA Guidelines Section 15303, included as Attachment C of the staff report. And I approve this project case number 23 CUP 00024 and 24 CDP 0003, subject to the conditions of approval included as Attachments B and Attachment G of the staff report. That concludes this item. Thank you very much. Mr. Martin, next item, please.
Okay, next item. Item number 2, 22 DVP-00000-00010, St. George Residential Building. This is a hearing on the request of Lonnie Roy to consider cases number 22 DVP-00000-00010, case number 22 CUP-000-00018, and case number 22 CDP-00000-00091, and to determine the project is exempt from the California Environmental Equality Act pursuant to CEQA Guidelines, Section 15303, new construction or conversions of small structures.
Thank you very much, Mr. Martin. I did speak to Ms. King briefly about this project, which resulted in the staff memo that was docketed. Ms. King, are you ready to proceed?
Yes.
All right, you're on.
Good morning, Ms. Liu. My name is Veronica King, and I'm the planner for the St. George Residential Building Project. The subject property is a 0.2-acre parcel located at 971 Embarcadero Del Mar on the corner of Trigo Road and Embarcadero Del Mar in Isla Vista and within the coastal zone. The site is zoned C2 and is currently developed with a commercial building of 3,450 square feet. Access is provided by a driveway off of Embarcadero Del Mar. The proposed project is a request for a development plan, a minor conditional use permit, and a coastal development permit to allow the demolition of an existing commercial building and the construction of a new 3-story, 9,970 square foot building to be used as a single-room occupancy facility. There will be 28 single occupancy rooms divided amongst 5 room groups, each group sharing restrooms, a kitchen, and common living space. Each bedroom will include 1 single twin bed. A facility office and trash room are located on the first floor. 8 parking spaces and 30 bicycle parking spaces are proposed, and the project includes new driveway access via Trigo Road. The proposed project is consistent with all applicable policies and ordinance requirements in the Article 2 Coastal Zoning Ordinance and the Comprehensive Plan, including the Coastal Land Use Plan. Staff recommends that the zoning administrator make the required findings for approval, determine that the project is exempt from environmental review, and grant approval of the project subject to the conditions of approval. This concludes staff's presentation. Staff and the applicant team are available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. King. I'm going to ask you the same question. It looks like some of the conditions have changed, so I assume that these conditions and revisions have been shared with the applicant team.
Ms. Liu, the conditions and the memo have been sent to the applicant team. However, they were sent this morning, so ideally I'd like to give them time to review them. The memo is brief, and I believe the applicant team should have time to do that now if that's appropriate.
All right, is the applicant team here?
If you are calling in.
Yes, I am.
Oh,
Mr.
Yeah.
Roy?
Yes,
I
I have
assume-
time to review the revised conditions. We don't have
And-
any issues with them.
Have you had an opportunity to review them with your client?
Yes, I have.
All right, because these conditions, while it's kind of mentioned in the overall staff report, they do affect the end result of the permit, especially from a cost perspective. So I want to make sure that the applicant is fully aware of those.
Yes, they are aware of them.
All right. Do you have anything to add to the presentation, Mr. Roy?
I do not. I just want to thank Veronica for all of her help on this project, getting it to this point. Look forward to hopefully working with her in the future. And we're here for any questions that you may have.
All right, thank you very much. Ms. Martin, do we have any requests to speak for this?
If anybody has a public comment in the chat, please raise your hand or press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute. Seeing none.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Roy, just one kind of curious question. I'm not sure if this is something you would be able to answer or satisfy my curiosity. Are these units intended for sale or are they rentals only?
Rentals only.
All right, great. Thank you. All right, I don't have any further questions on this. Thank you very much, Ms. King and Mr. Roy. Thank you for being here. I'll go ahead and close out the public hearing for this item and make the required findings for this project as specified in attachment A of the staff report dated April 19th, 2024, including the CEQA findings. And I do determine that the project is exempt from CEQA pursuant to CEQA guidelines section 15303 included as attachment C to the staff memo. And I approve this project case numbers 22 DVP 0010, 22 CUP 00018, and 22 CDP 00091, subject to the conditions of approval included as attachments B1, B2, and B3 to the staff memo. Thank you very much, Ms. King. Thank you, Mr. Roy.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Martin, next item, please.
Okay. Item number 3, 24 CUP-00009, Ridgeway Trust Sewer Line Extension. This is a hearing on the request of Kaylee Ridgeway Lair to consider case number 24 CUP-00009 and case number 24 CDP-00025, and to determine the project is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act pursuant to section 15303D, new construction or conversion of small structures of the state guidelines for implementation of CEQA, as outlined in the notice of exemption included as attachment C.
Thank you very much, Mr. Martin. I do not have any ex parte communications to announce on this. Ms. Brown, are you online and ready to go?
Yes, thank you, Miss Lou.
Okay,
My name
you're
is
on.
Willow Brown, and I'm the planner for the Ridgeway Trust Sewer Line Extension Project. The project is located along the private right-of-way along Anderson Lane between the existing sewer manhole at Shoreline Drive near 1116 South Moore Ranch Road and southward ending at 5310 Dorwin Lane. The properties along Anderson Lane are zoned Ag 15 and Ag 110, located in the Eastern Galita Valley Community Plan Area, 2nd Supervisorial District. The project before you today is for a minor conditional use permit and coastal development permit to allow for an approximately 2,100-foot long sewer line extension starting at the existing sewer manhole on Shoreline Drive and ending in front of 5310 Dorwin Lane. The sewer line will serve 14 parcels that front Anderson Lane to the east and west, which are currently operating on substandard septic systems. As proposed and as conditioned, the project is consistent with all applicable requirements of the Article 2 Coastal Zoning Ordinance and the Comprehensive Plan, including the Coastal Land Use Plan and the Eastern Galita Valley Community Plan. The project is exempt from environmental review under the California Environmental Quality Act pursuant to CEQA Guidelines Section 15303D. Section 15303D exempts the construction and location of limited numbers of new small facilities or structures, including water mains, sewage, electrical, gas, and other utility extensions, including street improvements of reasonable length to serve construction. This exemption applies to the proposed project because it is for a sewer extension to 14 developed parcels. Staff recommends that you make the required findings for approval included in attachment A to the staff report, determine that the project is exempt from environmental review pursuant to CEQA Section 15303D, and grant approval of the project subject to the conditions included as attachment B to the staff report. This concludes staff's presentation. Staff and the applicant are available to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Ms. Brown. Is the agent for this project online?
Yes, I am here. I'm zooming in from home, but am available for questions. And my dad, who's also an applicant, is there attending in person.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Ridgway, do you have anything to add to the presentation?
I can give you a brief explanation of how we got to here.
That would be
daughter
great.
Callie has been the one kind of spearheading this and working with all the neighbors, but we bought a piece of property at 1475 Anderson Lane, which is at the very end of Anderson Lane, and we designed a septic system. But because we have a high groundwater situation, and especially this year and last year, a lot of groundwater, we were not allowed to do the dry wells or the leach lines. And so we designed a system that is pretty new and pretty expensive. And the person that puts these in for people said, if there's any way you can avoid this system and go to a regular sewer line, I'd suggest that. So it's a 2,100-foot long run, which is a long sewer line, expensive. But in talking with the neighbors who are also experiencing high groundwater and failing septic systems that are older, most of them have said, boy, we'd really like to join in. And so we cobbled together the group of neighbors, and most all are ready to hook up. Some may not hook up now, but in the future they will. And so this this sewer line is going to be installed by Tierra Construction, who the Goleta Sanitary District usually uses. So there's a confidence level at the sanitary district. They reviewed the plans and approved them. We now have an encroachment permit submitted to the county. So upon approval of this CDP and the land use clearance, sometime in the next couple of months, we're going to go forward and put in the sewer system to serve my future home, but also most of my neighbors. And so that's my summary. Hope you'll support it. And one of my neighbors is here right now. She's the only property on the east side, 17-acre parcel, but it will be served as well. So I think the environmental department really likes it. Sanitary district likes it. Neighbors like it. There's really no opposition to it.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ridgway. That's very refreshing to hear that neighbors aren't concerned about stuff you're doing.
The first.
Ms. Brown, just a follow-up question for you. Once this is approved, if and when the neighbors are prepared to hook up to this new system, will they need to contact environmental health subsequent to this?
Ms. Liu, yes, each septic system will have to be abandoned through environmental health services.
So do the neighbors submit for an application through us, through planning and development first? And then go to environmental health, or do they go straight to environmental health?
They would go straight to environmental health. The individual connections to the sewer line would be exempt as long as they're 300 feet away from the bluff.
All right.
I can add a little bit. So the main sewer line will come up Anderson Lane, and then each lot that fronts Anderson Lane will get a lateral across the road so that it's easy for them to get to it. We've been speaking with all of the neighbors, and many of them have already started the process with Goleta Sanitary. Maybe some have contacted the health department. Until that lateral is there for them to hook up to, there's really nothing they can do. They're all hoping to get it done this summer because with the high groundwater just from these last 2 years of rains, plus most of the surrounding areas are nurseries and they're watering. So we do have issues up there. And so everybody's hoping sooner the better.
Understood. Mr. Martin, do we have any requests to speak on this item?
If anybody would like to make a public comment on this item, please raise your hand in the chat. Press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute. We have received no requests to speak and see nobody online with a public comment.
All right, thank you very much. I'll go ahead and close out the public hearing for this item then. Mr. Ridgway, thank you very much for all the work that you have done on this project. I'll go ahead and make the following decisions. Case number 24 CUP for approval of a CUP in compliance with section 35-172 of Article 2 to allow for the approximate 2,100 foot long sewer line extension. The case number 24 CDP 0025 for approval of a CDP in compliance with section 35-169 to allow for development in the coastal zone. I do determine that this project is exempt from CEQA pursuant to CEQA guidelines section 15303D, included as attachment C of the staff report. Thank you very much, Ms. Brown. Thank you, Mr. Ridgway.
Thank you.
Ms. Laird, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item number 4, 23 LLA-00009, Vintage Ranch Orcutt LLC -7S lot line adjustment. This is a hearing on the request of Coastal Community Builders to consider case number 23 LLA-0009 and to determine the project is exempt from environmental review pursuant to section 15305 of the state guidelines for implementation of the California Environmental Quality Act.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Martin. I do not have any ex parte communications to announce on this. Mr. Kringle.
Yeah, can you guys all hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. Good morning, Ms. Liu. My name is Soren Kringle, planner for 23 LLA 9 Vintage Ranch Savins lot line adjustment. The project is a request on behalf of the applicant Coastal Community Builders to adjust the boundaries between 2 legal lots. This lot line adjustment will resolve a land dispute involving a triangular portion of land adjacent to parcel 1 and on what is now parcel 2. There's an extensive history regarding the land dispute dating back to 2004. For a detailed explanation, please refer to section 5.1 of the staff report. The lot line adjustment will result in the transfer of 3,713 square feet from parcel 2 to parcel 1. No development is proposed as part of this lot line adjustment. Parcel 1 contains a single-family dwelling and parcel 2 contains a new single-family dwelling that is currently under construction as part of the Vintage Ranch tract. Both parcels will continue to be served by the Laguna Sanitary District, the Golden State Water Company, and the Santa Barbara County Fire Department. Access for parcel 1 will continue to be provided via Stubblefield Road, and access for parcel 2 will continue to be provided via Bouquet Lane. The application involves assessor parcels numbers 103-353-009 for parcel 1 and 101-570-034 for parcel 2, located at 1411 Stubblefield Road and 5620 Bouquet Lane, respectively. Both are in the Orcutt Community Plan Area, 4th Supervisorial District, and staff recommends the zoning administrator make the required findings for the project as specified in attachment A of the staff report, including CEQA findings. Determine the project is exempt from CEQA pursuant to CEQA guidelines, section 15305, as stated in the notice of exemption, and approve the project, case number 23 LLA 9, subject to the conditions of approval included as attachment B. This concludes staff's presentation, and I, as well as the applicant, are available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kringle. Mr. Martin, is the applicant's team here?
They might be the one calling in. If you are calling in as the applicant, press star 9 on your phone to raise your hand and star 6 to unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Please state your name, please.
Hi, this is Jackson Wheeler. I represent Coastal Community Builders in this case. I think Soren pretty much covered everything that we've done up to this point. It's a dispute that we, Coastal Community Builders, adopted from the original owner of the Vintage Ranch development. So we are just kind of following through with processing the lot line adjustment at this time.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Wheeler. Have you had an opportunity to review the conditions of approval on this project?
I have had an opportunity, and all conditions are acceptable.
Great, thank you very much. Mr. Martin, do we have any requests to speak on this?
We have received no requests to speak. If anybody would like to speak on this item, please raise your hand in the chat, or anybody in the audience? None? We have no requests to speak for this item.
All right, then I'll go ahead and close out the hearing for this item. Mr. Kringle, I do want to thank you very much for the very well-written staff report. It gave me a very clear picture of what's going on, so I do appreciate that. I'll go ahead and make the required findings for this project as specified in attachment A of the staff report, including the CEQA findings. I do determine that this project is exempt from CEQA pursuant to section 15305, included as attachment C of the staff report. And I approve this project, case number 23 LLA 0009, subject to the conditions of approval included as attachment B of the staff report. Thank you very much, Mr. Wheeler, Mr. Kringle. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Martin, I
Thank you so
believe that
much.
concludes. Thank you. Mr. Martin, I believe that concludes our hearing for today.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
So much.